Hello, YouTube. I'm Vince White. I'm an employment attorney, and on this channel, we answer publicly posted questions from YouTube users, getting folks the answers they need from an employment attorney. If these answers are helpful, like, subscribe, comment down below. It helps me to help more people just like you. We have a question here from YouTube user Tidy Cats. It's the only kind of cats I like. I like them tidy. And the question reads as so. I understand that pro se is not a good idea. Pro se meaning representing yourself. However, I haven't found any attorney in Indiana that will accept the case on contingency. Interesting. I've spoken with several and all agree I have a strong case worthy of pursuing. However, I don't have the $7,000 to $10,000 retainers they are asking. Indiana is expensive. Indiana is more expensive than most of the national firms I know. And the national firms are, some of them are literally, like we and a couple others are literally flying attorneys, teams of attorneys around the country, putting them up in high-end hotels. What on earth are local attorneys in Indiana doing that they need $7,000 to $10,000 retainers? I mean, I assume I don't know what they're doing. Let's finish the question and then I'll get into it. I'm going to read the line I just read again because I cannot. It's wild. I have a strong case worthy of pursuing. However, I don't have the $7,000 to $10,000 retainers they ask for. Nor do I have the funds to keep them working if the retainer is used up before the case is won. Those aren't flat fees. Those are hourly. I'm very curious. What's going on here. My question is it a waste of time for me to file if I must proceed pro se? Is it even possible for a non-attorney to successfully litigate an ADA discrimination case? I was told that legal aid doesn't handle this type of case. I am in Indiana. Okay. Oh, so much going on here. Let's deal with legal aid first. I don't think most legal aid agencies handle this kind of case. I have seen legal aid attorneys in New York take cases like this a couple of different times. 100% of the time that I'm aware of, they committed serious malpractice. Legal aid attorneys, it's different everywhere. In New York, legal aid attorneys are attorneys from Ivy League schools who don't want real jobs. And so they get into like the fake practice of law and spend their time harming as many poor people as they can, right? Oh, you were accused of stabbing this person even though you weren't in the country? Great, you should settle. Yeah, let's take a plea bargain because I'm not going to do a trial. I went to Harvard. I'm not doing a fucking trial, right? Yeah, that's what a legal aid attorney is all too often. They're big on the politics, light on the litigation. In New York, right? If somebody was like, I'm legal aid, I'm here to do the trial, I'd be like, we're fucked. It's over. If someone was in New York City and was like, I'm thinking about running an employment case, pro se, I got some pretty good facts for my discrimination case. I could either do it myself or I could have this legal aid person do it for me. What do you think? I would say, well, frankly, you both know about as much about litigation and you care about the case and they don't, right? They took that legal aid job to paper their resume, not to help people, right? You brought this employment discrimination case because you were wronged and you have to, right? You have to be made whole because horrible things were done to you. So you care, they don't, and you frankly, really truly, like law school does not teach people how to litigate, and Ivy League law school even less so. So in terms of actually fighting a case, you're probably in parity with the legal aid attorney. They're going to come for me now. They're going to be like, I've tried 3 employment cases. Yeah, maybe. More likely they're going to come and they're like, I've tried 10 criminal matters. Ha ha ha. Yeah, how long were the trials, dipshit? Fucking 2 hours? I swear, I gotta take it down a couple notches. All right. So let's set legal aid aside before the rant goes on and the video goes long. I have friends who work for legal aid. I have friends who worked past tense for legal aid and then became employment attorneys when they became a real attorney. Oh, I hope they're watching, not watching. I don't know. All in good fun. I mean it. mean every word of it, but it's in good fun for me. Okay. All right. Back to your question. So we got the legal aid out of the way. Is it even possible for a non-attorney to successfully litigate an ADA, an American Disabilities Act, discrimination case? Absolutely. Absolutely it is. And there is a YouTuber of great note who did that herself. She was a federal employee, and doing it as a federal employee is much, much more difficult than doing it as a private employee, let me assure you. And she did it herself. And listen, yeah, she worked for NASA, and I suspect that means she's really effing smart. But still, she did it, and it is much, much harder to do it as a federal employee. So I assume you may not be a federal employee. So yes, you absolutely can do that. People absolutely do that. And there are resources. Hopefully my channel is somewhat of a valuable resource, but her channel definitely is. There's other channels that are resources. There's pro se support offices if you end up litigating in federal court. They even exist in some state courts. And certainly the likelihood that you settle your case at mediation or in the agencies is very high as well. So yes, you absolutely can do that. I don't recommend you do that. I think it adds a lot of risk and often lowers the value of the case, but you absolutely can do it. There's going to be a lot of rants in this video. So that's the simple answer is yes, you can absolutely do that. I recommend against it, but you can. And people do, and people are successful. I know people. I receive gifts from people who successfully do it, right? Don't send me gifts. So no, the next question is, my question is it a waste of time for me to file if I must proceed pro se? It is not at all. Now let's talk about these Indiana attorneys. I have so many questions. My exposure to Indiana is actually a content creator who does dairy farm stuff, and he is fantastic. Huge fan. I think it's like the dairy farm guy or something like that. I don't know. He just answers questions about dairy farms and has like factual responses to people who are like, they're murdering cows. And it's like, well, I mean, eventually, but they have pretty good long lives and stuff like that. You know what I mean? All right. So they're telling you have a good, strong Americans with Disability Act case worth pursuing. And they appear to want to charge you $7,000 to $10,000 retainers up front. And that appears to be on an hourly basis, meaning they're going to bill from that hourly, and if they bill it out, they're going to want more. The fact of the matter is, in this industry, if an attorney offers you representation that is not at least partially contingent on what they win you, either don't believe in themselves or they don't believe in your case. Or I guess they don't believe in you, right? That's the reality here, right? The margins, the profit to be made if you take a case on a contingency, there's a lot of upside, right? I mean, this industry, people range from as low as 25% of what they win for you to as high as 50%. And you can win folks a sizable amount of money, right? Like it's sizable. The idea that you want to bill hourly for that instead of get your percentage. I have questions. Questions about these attorneys you're dealing with. Do they not believe you? Do they not believe in their own abilities? Do they not really know what they're doing? Are they starving? Do they need money today to make rent? Like what's going on with these attorneys? Why are the local attorneys in Indiana charging more than the national firms? A lot of the national firms charge between $5,000 and $10,000 up front to fly attorneys around the country, right? But that's a flat rate. That is a flat rate. That is all you ever pay that firm. And some of them keep it. And if they win your case, they take a percentage of whatever they want for you on top of that. Others give it back to you if they win your case and then take their percentage, right? So my question is, And I'm not deriding the attorneys of Indiana. I'm not taking the stance, to be clear, well, this attorney's in Indiana, so he's no good. That's not what I'm doing. Not what I'm doing at all. What I'm saying is these specific assholes that you talk to are not being upfront with you. There's something wrong with the scenario. You've got a great case, but I don't want a percentage. What? What did you say to me? There's something wrong. There's something amiss in Denmark. I butchered that quote. Highly, highly questionable what's going on here. Like, this is why the national firms exist, right? There's two reasons why the national firms exist. If you're in like South Dakota, you may have zero options for a plaintiff side employment attorney. And so you call a firm like ours or one of the other national firms, right? But also there's just places in the world where like places in the country where like the local employment attorneys are dog shit. And I'm not saying the local employment attorneys of Indiana are dog shit, because I don't know that. But I am saying something's going on here that leads me to suspect it's either a problem with your case or a problem with these attorneys. And if it's a problem with your case and they're still trying to represent you hourly, I have questions about that, because that's kind of shitty too, right? If they're not telling you, listen, this is a high-risk case, I don't know about this one, like, you're really putting a lot at risk here, we couldn't take a percentage, we'd have to do it on an hourly basis, like, that's fine, because you deserve representation, and you deserve the right to take that risk if you want to take that risk. But if they're telling you, this is a great case, you should give us 10 grand, and we'll bill from an hourly, and then if we go through that 10 grand, you give us another 10 grand. So many questions about that firm. So many questions, right? Listen, there's parts of the country where a woman can be horribly sexually harassed with like physical assault. And attorneys are like, yeah, but you asking for it, right? Like I've seen those email chains. People are like, oh, this guy says I don't have a case because of the way I was dressed. The fuck, what? Sorry. I gotta drop the F-bombs. It's getting wild. But like, that attorney apparently appears to hate women and himself, right? And money. There's so many reasons for that attorney to be a decent human and do the right thing in that scenario. This happened to you? That they physically assaulted you? It was an attempted sexual assault in the workplace? All that attorney has to do is say, yes, I'll represent you. And then turn that case into money. Right? But instead, that attorney just was like, I'm going to demean women. I'm going to be a real piece of shit. And I'm going to make sure I don't get any money while I do it. I cannot stress enough. I know I say it all the time. But in this field, a true psychopathic monster would do the right thing. Would help people. Because in helping people, that is how we make money. It's literally a field designed to turn the worst human beings into good guys, good men and women, right? And you still get pieces of shit like these attorneys who I don't know, and they could be lovely people. Maybe I'm not understanding the question. Maybe it's not being reported correct. I don't know. Maybe there's something lost in translation, a communication issue. I don't know. But as I read this, what I see is a couple of piece of shit attorneys are trying to scam this person out of a shitload of money. And I don't know if that's because there's something wrong with the case or something wrong with the firm. But I do know it's probably time to call out some of the national firms, because that is ridiculous. I don't want to go too long. I'm going to 15 minutes now. All right. If this was helpful, like, subscribe, comment down below. Helps me to help more people just like you. It's a good thing I didn't get this question last night. Sure, scotch would have been a little over the top. It already was. All right. Remember, almost everybody works. Not everybody wins. Be smart out there. Especially you tidy cats. Be smart. These are not the firms for you, it sounds like. I will check the comments in this video if there are follow-up questions. Let's get you, talk to more local attorneys, then call the national firms. This is wild.